Thank you so much for keeping it here on Morning at NTV. Kampala needs a smart city, and that is the drive that is spearheaded by the Executive Director of KCCA, that is Dorothy Chisaka. And right now, she's here with her management team that includes the head of legal, Karibu Mugisha, the head of human resource. They are interfacing and engaging with the enforcement officers of KCCA. There are supposed to be over 100, but some of them have already arrived here at the City Hall. And right now, the Executive Director, Dorothy Chisaka, is having an interface. Of course, there have been so many challenging issues coming up and complaints from the public that the enforcement officers are so rough when they are doing their work on the ground. And of course, management here at KCC is also trying to see that what they are doing on the ground is monitored well. That's why the Executive Director is trying to have an interface. Let's listening to the Executive Director to know what she's saying.
2 years? How many? I can't hear you.
2 years.
Yours is 5.
The shortest is 5.
Oh, he says it's 2 years only.
It's 5.
No. Your friends are disagreeing with you. Maybe this is the bad apple right here. Have you worked for 2 years only?
For the last contract.
No, but how long have you worked in law enforcement? 5 years. So you are people of experience. 5 years is a long time. We know all, you know all the nooks and crooks of the city. I am maybe the youngest because I'm here only 2 years. You should educate us and tell us what is going wrong. So I want to thank you very much for coming today, and I thank you, Kenneth, for enabling this meeting to happen. A process has started, a very concerted monitoring, surveillance, body camera works, everything to ensure that our force is working well and that you are protected yourselves, but also our citizens and their property is also protected. I came today with the Director Legal, the Director HR, so that we work together and put all this process into implementation. We've discussed, we have already started internally, and now you're going to begin seeing what we are doing on the ground. And we want you to participate in it. This is our thing. You know, when you have a job that puts money on your food on your table, you must protect it. Don't allow your neighbor who is doing a wrong thing to ruin your act also. Let's work together and get this thing cleaned. Okay, team? Thank you very much.
Asante sana.
Okay, what next, Kenneth?
The Executive Director there, KCCA, Dorothy Chisaka, addressing the city enforcement officers here at the City Hall. Of course, that they will be going out, that is before they go out into the field.
Those who have questions, please put up your hands and you.
Speak loud. Oh, okay. Have you heard their request? They've said, can we ask without journalists? Take away these ones also.
Ask questions, enforcement officers, because of
let's first do this session where they don't want the cameras to be.
They face many challenges that include harassment by some of the people, members of the public. But of course, we also know that also the enforcement officers are sometimes rough. In 2017, at least we saw one lady who was a hawker who was at Mukwan roundabout. That lady, that lady in 2007, we saw that one of the enforcement officers that was around the industrial area in Mukwan, to be specific, she was being arrested by enforcement officers, and then she ended up falling into the ditch that is Nachivo Channel and lost her life. That also one of the scenarios that anger the public. But also we know that even in the city center, when these enforcement officers are trying to chase or take people off the streets, these people are sometimes roughed up, taken onto the trucks of these enforcement officers, and this has also been one of the issues that has been raised by the public that they need to tone down. I've also been reliably informed but that this management here of KCCA is also going to introduce monitors, that is surveillance cameras, body mics, and then body cameras that will be placed on spies who will be down in the city trying to ascertain exactly what happens on the ground when these enforcement officers go there. So they'll be filmed, and then evidence will be brought to these officers or the management team here to ascertain whether they actually get violent when they are cracking and when they are arresting these vendors, the street hawkers, the people who walk onto the grass that is put up in the city. And one of the enforcement officers is reporting back to her management here what they find on the ground, the experience, and she has requested not to speak on the microphone because she fears for her security when she goes out into the field. But of course, I've listened in to earlier on when the executive director was speaking that this engagement is just trying to see that there is a cordial relationship. Let me speak to one of the officers, communication officers of KCCA, Robert Kalumba. You're live on NTV. Of course, we know you're having this interface with the enforcement officers. There is a concern that, yes, there is also the law enforcement officers are so rough on the ground. What are you going to do about it? Because you are the manager here.
And that's why it is meeting them. It is meeting them to have a chat with them, and she's going to unveil the new plans that we're intending to help us monitor their work. Yes. By now,
you should be, as a communication officer of KCC, you should be knowing some of the plans because the public is there worried, but also they are concerned.
Let's give, since you're here with me, let's wait for the event to come. She's going to unveil the plans that we believe will make their work better. Yes.
But when you talk about a smart city, for you, you're a Kampala trader, you've been in Kampala for some time. What are some of the challenges that still prevail up today that make us day in, day out cry for better city, smart city?
The smart city is not about KCCA transform. Everyone has to help KCCA transform a smart city. Everyone. And in relation to what we're doing here today, the ED is addressing them on the issue of how they work, the methods of work, and what we are going to do to make their work better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert Kalumba. He is also part of the communication team here at KCCA, but still take you back that side. The KCCA Executive Director, Dorothy Chisaka, and her team, Caleb Mugisha, the Head of Legal, the Human Resources here also trying to listen in to the concerns coming in from the enforcement officers who are here. They should be over 100, but we see a few of them. This is also part of the issue that can see now take you back to the ED.
Some of our jobs are not likable. Yeah, by the very nature of your job, you are not going to be liked. But we are saying there is some indiscipline. Would you agree, Anandut, that there are some people who are indisciplined? Yes, and that is what we are talking about. So the leaders, the commanders know them, and the commanders should guide us to those bad apples who are spoiling the good apples, the image and the reputation of the good apples. That one we should deal with. And then the other thing you said, what does leading from the front? It means leading as a role model, leading not hiding when you hear bad things, speaking about them, not ruling as a dictator and a master, but being consultative. Leading from the front says, I am here, what do we need to do? Okay. So, and in an organization like ours, which is very large, we have a hierarchy. The ED doesn't have to come to Nandutu every time and give directions. We have the director legal, we have Kenneth, who is the manager for law enforcement, Then we go to the commanders, your division commanders. That is the hierarchy we work with. So don't wait until the HR director comes, go to the nearest level of leadership, because that's how we work. We work like an army, and you go to the next level of leadership and you get directions. So let not things grow, yet you can respond to them and take care of them, okay? Yeah. Is there something I've missed out here? Talk about the legal framework. Let's talk about the legal framework of our work.
Once again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, sir. Let me maybe begin by saying that you will recall previously you had a commander who was an officer of the Uganda Police Force. Those of you who have been here long enough will recall that those same politicians said that that commander was here illegally. Now, if they do not want law enforcement work to be done by Uganda police, don't expect them to also want law enforcement work done by yourselves. You are well aware that, for instance, you will not go to the Kampala Capital City Act and find that there is an Office of Director Legal Affairs indicated in that act. Our offices are a creature of the structure generated by the Public Service Commission. The law enforcement team is part of that structure. That structure was approved through the relevant government procedures. So there isn't any issue to do with whether you're here lawfully or not. I do not want to go so much into the reasons why those politicians hold those particular views. But like you, they are also entitled to their opinions, and you are also alive to the fact that they have even taken extra steps to try and challenge your existence in this institution through the courts of law. So I don't want to get into so much details, because that will give them more ammunition to pursue those matters in court, which are, in my opinion, self-serving and not in the interest of this institution. But in brief, you're here lawfully. You are public servants, properly in our structure and under contracts or issued by the Public Service Commission. Thank you.
We'll take one or two. Who is Kenneth is you guiding?
Okay. They are the KCCA Executive Director, together with Karim Mugisha, but the immediate former, the immediate speaker who was speaking to you there was Karim Mugisha, the head of legal here at KCCA, and this is an interface with the legal enforcement officers here in Kampala. They are the people who you interface with, you always meet on the ground in City Central Division, Machinde Division, Rwaga Division, Nakawa Division, who are on the ground. And this engagement is just trying to see that they're given assurance when they do their work, and their head of legal has told them that they are here legally. They were employed legally, so no one should intimidate them. No one should tell them to stop doing their work on the ground. But they're also now trying to still give their concerns, what they find on the ground, the complaints they always find on the ground when they go out. Some of them have been saying that they find resistance, and some others are saying that they are being fought and beaten by the public that they are supposed to be working for. And the executive director here, Dorothy Saka, assured them that yes, they will be given the protection, but also she's about to unveil some of the measures they're going to be putting in place to make sure that yes, they make sure that they are protected as enforcement officers, but also what they do, the work they do out there is monitored. Some of the issues or things they're going to be doing is introduce body cameras. I'm told that there will be some spies that will be brought into the city who will be monitoring what they do on the ground, and that is information I got from one of the people inside KCCA who didn't want to go on camera, but for now that is what I can update you on Morning at NTV. I'll be giving you much more details on what happens here in our subsequent bulletins, that is NTV at 1, and of course NTV at Kawungezi and NTV at 9. This is Morning at NTV. Stephen Video Professor Chukuga coming back to studio for now.
Update on what's happening at City Hall, a meeting or an interface, to be specific, between the executive director and her team and enforcement officers. Now, that comes on the backdrop of a series of events that have brought their work into a little bit of a sport of bother, how they conduct themselves